This map is showing the years where different countries within the European continent were at their peak of power. I don't completely agree with this map, but I do think that it's pretty interesting and good to look at. And there's a lot of things that will tell you a lot about their interesting history, such as Finland, 1942. Well, 1942 was World War II, and you'll notice the Germans had the similar. At the height of their empire was 1942. Now, the Finns were in the middle of the continuation war in 1942, and they had pushed back the Soviets because they really didn't like the Soviets because the Soviets had just done the Winter War against them a couple years previous. But the Finns sided with the Germans because the Germans were also fighting the Soviets. And the continuation war really didn't go very well for the Finns, and then they had to fight the Germans because the Germans refused to leave Finland. The Finns then lost all the land that they had then conquered in 1942, and also had to promise the Soviets that they weren't going to ally themselves with the Western powers. They also had to pay large amounts of war reparations that they actually paid back even sooner because they just didn't want to deal with being under the boot any more than they already were against the Soviets. And that's really a big part of why the Finns were neutral for the entirety of the Cold War, because they had just fought a big war with the Soviets that they didn't win, and so they had to stay neutral. Now, times have obviously changed, and the Finns have finally joined NATO. Now, that's some pretty interesting history, don't you think? What other country should I talk about from this map?